Out on the edge of civilized space, where laws are more suggestion than rule, there's a bar called the Hollow Moon. It's the kind of place where bounty hunters drink beside smugglers, where soldiers forget war with something stronger than peace. One night, a Zarnathi bounty chief strolled in loud, drunk, and looking for a target to humiliate. His mistake? Choosing the quiet human in the corner. Battered boots, faded marine tattoo, and a stare that had seen too much. He called Earth weak, said humanity only survived because others allowed it. Laughter followed. But the Marine didn't flinch. He just asked, calm as ever, "You sure you want to finish that sentence?" Minutes later, 3 tables were broken, 6 species were in hiding, and the Zarnathi needed emergency medevac. But that was only the beginning. Surveillance footage went viral. What most thought was just a bar brawl turned into a diplomatic disaster. Within hours, military assets were being repositioned, border patrols locked down 5-star systems, and the Zarnathi Empire issued a formal sector-wide emergency protocol. Why? Because the Marine wasn't just anyone. He was part of Earth's Ghost Vanguard, a classified unit no alien power officially acknowledged. And now the entire sector was asking the same question. What else is Earth hiding? Chapter 1. The Hollow Moon Bar. The Hollow Moon Bar sat precariously at the edge of contested space, built into the remains of a derelict asteroid mining colony. It was a place known for its unfiltered conversations, sketchy deals, and the kind of silence that followed when someone said the wrong thing. The clientele came from every known sector: Trivanti spice traders, Gralian pit fighters, Vaskar smugglers, and occasionally, humans. Not diplomats, not EarthCorp representatives, but the kinds who had long since fallen off official registers: mercs, wanderers, and former soldiers. On a slow-orbit day, a Zarnathi bounty chief named Vektar stomped through the entrance. 7 feet of muscle and arrogance. Vektar had a long history of bullying weaker patrons, flaunting his medals, and making humans feel especially small. That night, he was looking for sport. He found it in the form of a solitary human sitting quietly in the back corner. Leather jacket, dusted boots, glass of water untouched, and a fading tattoo on his forearm, the symbol of Earth's colonial marines. The Marine. The man's name was Samuel Rigg. To most, he looked like just another washed-up grunt with nothing left to lose. But his eyes told a different story. Still, alert, and far too calm for someone sitting in a place like this. Vektar swaggered over, downed half a bottle of fermented blood ale, and started mouthing off. "Humans," he said loudly, "are the fleas of the galaxy. Lucky the rest of us tolerate your existence." He laughed, and others joined in. Not because they agreed, but because they didn't want to be next. Samuel looked up slowly. His voice was level. "You sure you want to finish that sentence?" Vektar laughed again. "What are you going to do, little soldier? Cry about it." Samuel stood. Not quickly, not dramatically, just stood. Vektar went for intimidation, slamming his hand on the table. That was a mistake. The incident, what happened next, lasted 12 seconds, but was captured on 6 security feeds and would go on to be viewed 94 million times across the galactic net. Vektar's arm was snapped, in 3 places before he could react. Samuel used a simple disarm maneuver, old colonial marine training. The next attacker, a drunk Vaskar, received a roundhouse that sent him over the bar. 2 more patrons tried to help Vektar. One ended up on the floor with a shattered jaw. The other was slammed through a table. No blasters, no plasma knives, just muscle memory and perfect form. Samuel didn't move like a man fighting for fun. He moved like a man fighting for survival, with restraint. By the time it ended, 4 beings were unconscious. Samuel sat back down, untouched, picked up his glass, and took a sip of water. The bar was dead silent. Someone called medical. Someone else hit record. No one dared approach him again. Viral impact: within hours, the footage had spread. A Zarnathi war hero had been beaten by a lone human marine. But the story wasn't just about a bar fight. Analysts quickly zoomed in on the tattoo on Samuel's arm. It belonged to the 71st Ghost Division, classified, long rumored to have been disbanded after the Sorn conflict. Officially, the division didn't exist, but unofficially, whispers had survived. The ghosts were the kind of operatives sent in when peace talks failed and war was too costly. Surgical, strategic, and untraceable. The Zarnathi government panicked. They called it an act of aggression. Their border patrols activated a Level 3 emergency protocol. Patrol fleets scrambled. Communications with Earth were sent through urgent diplomatic channels. Earth responded with silence. Earth's quiet doctrine. Unlike other interstellar governments, Earth had adopted a unique strategy in the last 30 years. After decades of bloody, colonial skirmishes and the cost of maintaining large fleets, they'd invested in precision diplomacy and elite special forces. The Ghost Divisions were part of that evolution. Formed in secrecy, they specialized in sabotage, infiltration, and psychological warfare. Marines like Samuel Rigg weren't just soldiers, they were instruments of deterrence. When the 71st Division was disbanded, its members faded into civilian life, or so everyone thought. In truth, they were embedded across the galaxy, dormant agents of peace through presence. Samuel had gone off-grid 5 years ago after completing a covert mission on Rix Prime. The files were sealed. Only a handful of EarthGov officials even knew his current location. Now, with one incident in a bar, he had reminded the galaxy that Earth's quiet didn't mean weakness, sector-wide reactions. The reaction was immediate and global. The Vaskar Syndicate issued a formal apology to Earth and offered to pay damages. The Trelgan Confederacy halted all planned exercises near human territory. Even the Trivanti, known for their neutrality, recalled diplomats to reassess protocols. But more importantly, the Zarnathi Empire began drafting a formal complaint against Earth, claiming provocation. They didn't want war. They wanted leverage. Chapter 11, Ghost Division Protocol. The Council Chamber's silence. Earth sent no reply. No denial. No comment. Just as Samuel Rigg remained silent, still at the hollow moon, still sipping water, watching chaos unfold from a dusty bar stool. The interview. 2 weeks after the incident, a freelance reporter from the Independent Galactic Voice landed on the hollow moon to interview Samuel. He agreed. The interview lasted 5 minutes. Here's the excerpt that made history. Reporter: Are you ashamed of what happened? Samuel: No. Reporter: Do you regret it? Samuel: I regret that it had to happen. Reporter: What would you say to the Zarnathi who now consider you a terrorist? Samuel: They should ask themselves what kind of empire feels threatened by one man drinking water in a bar. The unveiling in response to mounting pressure, Earth finally made a public statement through an encrypted broadcast. Earth regrets the incident on the hollow moon. We value peace, but we remind the galaxy, our citizens, even those retired, retain the right to self-defense. We will not reprimand a human for surviving. That was all. But the message behind it was clear. The Zarnathi Empire dropped its complaint. Instead, it requested a neutral arbitration to ensure clarity in future encounters. Behind closed doors, the Sector Command Council reviewed Earth's dormant protocols and discovered at least 7 similar ghost incidents in the last decade. None had gone viral. None had involved survivors speaking on the record. Samuel disappears one morning. Samuel Rigg was gone, left his water glass on the table. No credits owed, no trail to follow. Security logs were wiped. He simply vanished. Rumors suggested he was picked up by a covert Earth shuttle. Others said he had a rendezvous with a rising rebel movement on Goran 9. A few even believed he had returned to Earth for good. What mattered wasn't where he went. What mattered was the legacy he left. Following the incident, the Zarnathi Empire instituted a new regulation. If any human-bearing marine insignia entered a high-risk zone, authorities must notify regional command. They called it the Rigg Protocol. Other factions quietly did the same. Even black market trading rings began circulating do not engage lists, Samuel's name always near the top. And somewhere in the void, Earth continued to watch. Because in a galaxy where strength was usually measured by fleets and firepower, Samuel Rigg had reminded them that the most dangerous weapon might still be a man, drinking alone, in a hoodie. Chapter 11. Ghost Division. Protocol. The council chamber's silence was broken not by words, but by a transmission. Encrypted, Earth classified, yet somehow injected into the council's core system. A single line of text scrolled. Across every display, Ghost Division protocol activated. Galactic record updated. Suddenly the delegates realized this wasn't just an act of retaliation. It was an official Earth military doctrine, a standing protocol. If a human Ghost Division operator was dishonored or harmed unjustly, especially on neutral ground, Earth wouldn't need to ask questions. They would simply erase the problem, and the galaxy had just witnessed what that erasure looked like. Back on Earth, in a sealed underground briefing room beneath the Andes Mountains, 5 generals and 1 civilian sat around a circular table. At the center, a black datapad showing Rigg's final message. "He's alive," one general said, breaking the tense quiet. "Alive and hunting," said another. "We didn't activate Ghost Division protocol. He did. Off-grid. Off-grid."